The city of Chicago was just waking up, its skyline glowing beneath the pale gold of dawn. The hum of early traffic echoed through the streets, blending with the distant wail of a train cutting across the bridge. Inside the towering glass building of Harrison and Comer's Technologies, a man quietly mopped the marble lobby floor. His name was Ethan Cole, a janitor no one really noticed. He wore the same faded uniform every day, a gentleman with tired eyes, the kind of person whose presence people registered only when the floor reflected their shoes perfectly. Ethan had worked there for nearly 6 years. Every morning at 6 sharp, he arrived before the executives, ensuring the building looked spotless for their big city meetings and coffee-fueled deadlines. The scent of disinfectant was his signature, his silent contribution to the empire around him. But behind that quiet face a storm brewed. Life had been cruel to him. 2 years earlier, he lost his wife Sarah to cancer. Since then, he had been raising their 9-year-old daughter Mia alone in a small rented apartment on the city's west side. Mia was Ethan's whole world. She had her mother's eyes and her father's heart, but also inherited a painful condition, asthma, that worsened with every winter. The medical bills were endless, the inhalers expensive, and Ethan's pay barely covered the essentials. Every night after putting Mia to bed, he would stare at the peeling ceiling paint, wondering how long he could keep going. Still, he showed up to work every morning with quiet dignity, because giving up wasn't an option when a little girl depended on him. That particular morning felt heavier than usual. The night before, he had found an eviction notice taped to his door. 3 months behind on rent, no savings and no family to turn to, the walls of his life were closing in. He thought of Mia sleeping beside her inhaler, her small chest rising unevenly. The thought of losing the roof over her head twisted something deep inside him. When he arrived at work, his hands were trembling, his body on autopilot as he pushed the cleaning cart toward the executive parking lot. The lot was pristine, polished concrete reflecting the rows of luxury cars that belonged to people who never noticed men like him. There it was, a black BMW X5, the CEO's car gleaming under the fluorescent lights. Victoria Harrison, the woman whose name crowned the building, was known for her discipline, elegance, and an almost robotic lack of emotion. She built an empire from scratch, but to employees like Ethan, she was a distant, cold figure. She passed by every morning in her heels, eyes fixed on her phone, never once glancing his way. Ethan stopped beside her car, the mop dangling from his hand. He looked at the reflection of his weary face in the vehicle's door. For a moment, he felt invisible, a ghost drifting through the halls of success, unseen and unheard. The voices of 2 managers nearby broke his thoughts. "Victoria's got the biggest investor meeting today," one said. "If it goes well, she'll close a deal worth millions." The words cut through Ethan like a blade. Millions. While his daughter's medication sat out of reach at a drugstore he couldn't afford. He leaned against his cart, his mind spiraling. All those years of loyalty, cleaning bathrooms and boardrooms for people who never said thank you, and yet his life was falling apart. He thought about the irony, how one person could make millions for a speech, while another mopped her footprints for pennies. The anger that had been buried for months began to surface. It wasn't hatred, not really. It was helplessness wearing the mask of fury. For the first time, Ethan felt something inside him snap. He whispered to himself, "I just want her to understand what it's like to lose control." His eyes fell to the small utility knife lying in his cleaning tray, the same one he used to cut boxes open. His hand hovered over it, hesitation flickering like a weak flame. But desperation has its own logic. It blinds reason, numbs conscience, and feeds on pain. Before he could think twice, he picked up the knife and crouched by the car. The hiss of air escaping the tire sounded sharp, almost violent in the stillness of the garage. One tire, then another. His heart raced with every slice, his breathing shallow. The moment it was done, reality hit him like a wave. He dropped the knife, staring at what he'd done. The BMW now sagged slightly, wounded and lifeless. The same reflection that moments ago showed his face now reflected guilt. His hands trembled uncontrollably. "God, what did I just do?" he whispered. His mind screamed at him to fix it, but there was no fixing this. He grabbed his mop, wiped his sweaty face with his sleeve, and wheeled his cart toward the elevator. The sound of his squeaking shoes echoed like sirens in his ears. Every step felt heavier, his chest tight with regret. In the elevator mirror, he saw the face of a man he didn't recognize, defeated, angry, ashamed. The ride to the janitor's room felt endless. He sat on the supply bench, burying his face in his hands. He thought of Mia again. What would she say if she knew her father had done something so foolish? He didn't care about losing his job. He cared about losing himself. He wanted to turn back time, undo the moment his pain became action. But time never bends for people like Ethan. All he could do was wait for the consequences to find him, and they would, faster than he imagined. Outside, the building's rhythm continued, as if nothing had happened. Executives poured in, lattes in hand, gossiping about meetings and stock prices. No one noticed the janitor hiding behind a door, battling his conscience. The sound of engines and voices filtered through the walls. Then came the sharp voice of the CEO herself, echoing across the parking lot. "What happened to my car?" she barked. Ethan closed his eyes. It was only a matter of time before the security cameras revealed the truth. His world, already fragile, was about to shatter completely.